my first time teaching at Calmat. I have prior. Can you guys see from there? Can you see the projector?
Say again?
Can you see the projector? Can you see what's on?
Yeah.
Okay. Before the class? Nobody? Okay. So this is the first time that you guys see that. That's okay. I guess you guys know the site I'm talking about, the ulearn.com site. Everybody? Okay. That's an important site. We're going to be exchanging a bunch of stuff through this site. And I guess let's get started. Brief agenda about some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Introductions, general kind of like terminology about strategy, business, economics, etc. Then we're going to kind of like do some games. Strategy at the end of the day is a game, a very important game. And then, how many of you have a microeconomics background? Nobody? Okay, then we're gonna go through some slides that are gonna be a little bit heavy on, microeconomics. And again, this is one of the, stepping stones that you need when you talk about strategy. So, and hopefully we'll go from there. Okay, so let's talk about, who I am first. I am Silicon Valley immigrant, came over here about 20 years ago. I have worked in several companies, mostly startups, and I have fun in some ways sharing some of my experience, professional as well as educational, with students, with anybody actually that wants to learn something from the things that I've done and the places I've been. And I guess hopefully this is more of an interactive type of class. I will actually cold call people that fall asleep in the class. I know that 1 to 3 p.m. is the worst time of the day. You kind of like stay awake, but I will try to keep you awake, even if you don't like it. And I guess that's pretty much about it. So most of you should have a syllabus in your hands, which probably you haven't seen yet. So I'd like to ask you to, if you don't have one, ask your neighbor to share with you. More copies will be coming in soon. If you have it in front of you, I guess start reading from the top. There are some important things there that we need to go through. And I guess you should be seeing something like what you see on the whiteboard. So we're going to be having about 7 sessions every other week. There's going to be a main textbook for the class, which is called Gaining and Sustaining Competitive Advantage. I don't know how many of you already bought the book. Please raise your hand. 1. Okay. So this is basically a book taught in hundreds of MBA schools across the nation, and in some ways it contains so much material that if you happen to actually go through from cover to cover, you will actually end up with a ton of information as far as competitive strategy goes. The second textbook that I would like you to take a look at is called Thinking Strategically. And this textbook is basically something you could read literally over the weekend. It's something very light, very easy, and I guess I would strongly recommend that if you have some kind of like downtime or what have you, kind of like read that, even though it's optional, as in you don't really have to read it, but it's a fun book. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy it. So, any questions so far? Competing, dominating, conceding, colluding, all of them all, which are things that happen pretty much every day in business, right? So, I guess the 4 high-order kind of objectives is when you look at the company, when you look at the market, how do you analyze it? How do you figure out strengths and weaknesses from a strategic point of view? Then how do the markets basically, the market's life cycles operate? How do they start? How do they grow? How do they sustain? How do they dissolve? And then we're going to evaluate some real companies out there. We're going to do some cases where, companies that you go and interact with every day, like, Safeway or Kmart or United Airlines, are going to be, parts of your, analysis. And the most fun of this class is that, I'm going to ask you to come up with a strategy. At the end of the day, very few companies out there have a perfect. No, that was the textbook that was used before. And if you have read it, probably you will overlap in some degree with the textbook that I want you to read. I was going to say, don't use this one. Please, purchase and start reading the Barney book, Gaining and Sustaining Competitive Advantage. Have a copy of the book, of the books, right here. So let's pass them around, take a look at them. Don't be scared, there are a lot of pages, but you can read them quickly. Okay? Okay. So, as far as the course outline goes, any questions? No? Okay. So, today we're going to be doing primarily an introduction course and a review of microeconomics. Next class we're going to be doing analysis of the competitive advantage, and here you can see basically the chapters that are coming in from your primary book that you can read, as well as a business paper, Harvard Business Review kind of paper. Third class is going to be mostly about an industry analysis and a quick and painless midterm. I'm not a big fan of exams. I'm a much kind of like a bigger fan of you working together and coming up with ideas. So fourth class is going to be strategic scope and some of the options that companies use out there, as well as a different paper. Fifth class, cost leadership and differentiation. And sixth class, tacit collusion, M&As, globalization stuff. And of course, last class, you can't avoid talking about diversification and some things that you will be doing for your final. So those are basically the topics we're going to be covering in the next 7 sessions, more or less. There's going to be a couple of homeworks. Again, a very short midterm, probably 20 minutes or so in class. Again, don't worry about it. The final is actually going to be a project. It's going to be, here is a company, or you pick a company that is facing a real strategic problem or challenge. And then you're going to write a paper that says how, if you were in charge, or if you were advising the company as a consultant, how would you solve that problem? Okay? Yes?
Will it be a group project or individual
Group.
project? A group?
Everything in my kind of at least approach to professional training and business school training has to have some sort of collaboration. I get to learn a lot about how you think when you operate as part of a team. Teams are probably going to be no more than 4 people and no less than 2. As in, you can't have a team of 1, but teams of 3 or 4 would be probably ideal for both the homeworks and the final are going to be teamwork. Fair enough? Yes?
Are you going to assign a team?
No.
You're picking?
I'm going to assign the team only to those that don't volunteer. As in, hopefully during the break, maybe around 2 o'clock, we're going to have a 5 minutes break, and you guys can, reach each other. And if you think you're going to take the class, just, put down your names, and then, either email me or go to the website, or give me a piece of paper with the names and the, the good information. Okay? So, and the last but not least, 30% of the grade will be participation in class. So, please participate. Over participate, lined up. Okay? Great. I guess I don't, frankly, pay attention that much into, whether you are in a, 96 or 95 or all the other points you see there. What I really care is whether you get stuff out of this class. One of the most kind of like influential professors at UC Berkeley used to say that, 2 or 3 years after you take this class, you probably remember 1 or 2 things. If you can get the students to remember more than 2 things, then you've done a good job as a teacher. So I want you, when you walk out of this class, in 2 years after this class, to remember at least 2 or 3 things from it. Hopefully much more. And this will follow. Okay? Okay, you guys should all know the honor code, attendance, these kind of things, more or less standard type of bullet points from Calmat. As in, if you plan to take this class, and I know that not all of you may end up taking this class, but if you take this class, please attend. And if you want to get the most out of this class, make sure that you put the amount of work and time outside this class. Okay? Any questions? Okay. I would like to ask one of you to, I guess, help me take notes or take questions that sometimes may come up during class from your fellow classmates as to what we could do better, what we could do different, or I guess what are the things that perhaps we didn't cover in class because I may not know the answer, or I may have to go and look it up. In essence, think of it as someone that helps me recap the class as well as get feedback from the class every so often. Can I have a volunteer? You get the free lunch at the end of the class. Thank you. What's your name?
Carrie.
Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. So basically, Carrie, you just send me an email at the end of the class with whatever questions that may have come up and I didn't answer in the class, or you think I should know about. Thank you. Okay. So we talked about the grades, we talked about homeworks, finals, etc., etc. The other thing I was going to say is that when it comes down to material in this class, it's going to be up to you as to how deep or how kind of like horizontal you want to go with strategy. Strategy is an area that, in essence, can go really deep mathematically, can go really deep, like philosophically in some ways, and in a number of other ways. I don't intend to actually, go deep in all of these areas, but if any one of you has special interest in a given area or sub-area of strategy, we can, discuss about this offline. Any questions on the syllabus? No? You guys are so quiet. What do you have for lunch? Okay, so that was the syllabus name. You learn. How many of you have used You Learn? About half. Okay. Do you guys all know what is You Learn, or you're supposed to know what that is? So that's the basically website for posting a bunch of material as well as responding to materials that are available from the class. So the URL is ulearn.calmat.us, and for those of you that haven't seen the site, play around a little bit and I guess get familiar with some of the things that happen there, because that's where in some ways I'm going to be posting the electronic copies of the syllabus, the slides, the papers, and that's where actually you'll have to go in order to upload your work. Okay? So please spend some time looking at the site, and again, if you have any questions, probably the best way to reach me as well as reach other people at Calmat